happy Sunday. Welcome back to the channel. Thank you so much for tuning in today. So as you can tell by the title, I am tackling more techniques. And so yeah, I am quite excited about it. I have everything in front of me on my little table here so I can share with you bias tape. Am I the last one, the last sewist to make their own bias tape? If I am, okay, that's fine. Don't talk about me, but I am excited. I am so happy with this, and I'm not sure why it took me so long. It's just, again, one of those techniques. You all know I'm all about battling techniques. The first one was doing gathering stitches, which you all know I've done gathering stitches, but I was a lazy gatherer. And so when I made that Vogue top, I'll pop up a video to the link to the video and all of that. But you all know, after I properly did the gathering stitches, I liked it much better. And so the only thing with gathering I'll try in the future is just doing it on my machine as opposed to pulling the thread. But right now I'm good. And don't forget to tune in on Wednesday's video. That is going to be a good one. We will be chatting about elevating sewing, my sewing, what that looks like, what that means, what has been happening in this brain of mine, and what has transpired over the past several months. And I also have a pattern haul for you. I know you all like pattern hauls. It'll be a commercial pattern haul, but I'll have a pattern haul for you on Wednesday. But it's gonna be a good discussion on Wednesday. So don't forget to thumbs up this video. Don't forget to hit the bell and subscribe so you do not miss it. So let's jump into it today. So as you can tell by the title, we will be talking about the Love Notions Harmony blouse. If you all saw it, I hope you did. You saw my shorts video on Friday. I hope you didn't miss it, because I was over on the Love Notions channel. You can go check it out. I will leave a link to that down in the description box. But you all know that I am a brand ambassador for Love Notions patterns, for those who don't know. And so I did a video over there for their channel talking about the Harmony blouse. The Harmony blouse was a Feature Friday pattern, which means if you all follow along on my community tab, you know I try to remember to post every Friday when the $5 pattern is released from Love Notions. And this past Friday I was featured, and featured over on the Love Notions channel for the $5 pattern. If you missed it, that is okay. You can still receive 10% off. The price of the pattern is back at regular price, but you can receive 10% off if you want to sew up that pattern. But hopefully you took advantage of it on Friday. And with the Feature Friday, it was $5. Plus, if you use my code SewNaturalDane 3, yeah, you got an additional 10% off of that. So while this video will not go into details about the pattern review, because I did all of that on Love Notions channel. As a matter of fact, you all know, if you follow along and follow along on Love Notions social media and all of that, you know that I did 3 different versions. In one version I turned into a knit dress and I lined it with tricot. And so yeah, that was good. I showed everything in that video over on Love Notions channel, how to lengthen your dress, how to lengthen the top, I should say, into a dress, how to line it in tricot, and also making sure, giving the tip to move your dart if you're going to do the harmony in a knit instead of a woven. All of that is included in that video, so go check that out. So one of the things that I did, and I thought this was a good pattern for it, was to do to create my own bias binding. Now I've done, you've all seen different things. If you're you know, follow over here of the channel, subscriber, and if you're not, consider subscribing and don't forget to hit that bell. You know, I've used bias binding, but typically bias binding that I use is store-bought, or some that I've had in my stash for quite some time. I've never made it always had intentions on making it, and always put certain fabrics to the side that I would think, oh, that'll be cute as bias binding. I'll just put that over to the side, even if it was just, you know, a small amount. So that's what I did. That's what I did. So one of the things I want to share with you, I'm going to share with you all 3 garments here in a moment. But I want to share with you just a few tips, little things. I mean, you all probably gonna laugh at me because maybe many of you have already done these things. And if you have even more tips, please put them down in the comment section below, because people do read the comments, and you will help me and help others if you're like, oh, here's another way or another thought to do it. So one of the things that I've always wanted to do was create my own bias tape. And so what I've done over the year, well, no, I would say over the past maybe several months, maybe year, you know, these cards that you get that your store-bought, say from Joann Fabrics or some, your store-bought bias tape comes wrapped around these. Well, for a long time I would just throw these in a recycle, and then last year I was like, you know what, I need to save those, because if I ever make my own bias tape, I can reuse the boards. So save these boards that your bias tape comes on, because you can reuse them. And I have quite a few here, but you can reuse them to make your own bias binding, to, you know, have something to wrap it around. So one thing that I do like about creating my own bias tape for my own, so all of this is from my own personal experience and my own personal thoughts. First of all, I love how it elevates a look. I'm going to start sharing with you my harmony blouses. So the harmony blouse is made for more of a drapier fabric, say your viscose rayon, your rayon challis, that type drape of fabric. But I did mine in 3 different types of fabrics. And so one of the versions I did was this Ankara version. So you all know I had this fabric and used it to make my birthday top, which I believe is still on the Shop My Page website. I do have a sale going on my website, SewNaturalDane, where you can get 30% off everything until Sunday, which should be the day you're seeing this, July 16th. So if you're seeing this July 16th, head over to the website. It's Christmas in July sale, 30% off everything, buttons, garment labels, everything. And even that discount applies towards the items in my Shop My Closet, which includes my birthday top I made earlier this year. It's just too big at this point. But I had about this much, because the harmony calls for about 1.5 yards to 2 yards depending on the sizing that you make. And so I had enough left over to do a sleeveless version, and so that's what I did. Absolutely love this print. Is absolutely beautiful. I cannot for the life of me remember where I got this from. I'll link to my birthday video in the description box, and in that video I say what fabric store, because I cannot remember if it's House of Mami Wata or Afrit clothing store. So anyway, so yes, this is the top. Now I use self-binding around the hem, and I'll come up closer in a moment because I need to share with you this feature. But and for the arm side, as well as for the back, I absolutely love it. And actually I am going to come closer so you can see how this looks. So this is the binding that I created around the arm side. I mean, I know you guys, I'm late to the game, but this is absolutely beautiful. I love how the fashion fabric binding looks. Isn't that beautiful? And I had extended it in the back to make long ties. Again, I talked about how I did that in the Love Notions video. But I mean, wow. I absolutely love how that turned out. So pretty. So I'm gonna get ready to show you the other 2, but real quick I want to share with you, besides using my cards, I also use, and I did a short, probably by the time you're seeing this, maybe it's about a week ago, on the bias tape maker that I use, which can be purchased off of Amazon. And I use this size 18. And so what I found for me personally, what I like and why I use this size, because I prefer a single fold bias tape. I just think it's easier to work with and easier to apply to garments, seams, wraparound seams and everything. I just find, you know, that finished sizing just works a whole lot better. And so what I did was, and actually I will, I'll show you a clip here. Let me just show the clip and what I do. So here I'm showing how I am making the 1.5 inch lines diagonally across the fabric. And then once I make all of the lines, then I go through and I just cut each strip all the way across. So then I can have all of the binding. And that worked out beautifully. Then I went over to my machine and just sewed each end together diagonally. This is relatively easy to do because I do this for bag making when making straps, so that was easy to do. So I went ahead and did that and had a nice long strip of bias tape, which worked out really nice. Then I headed on over to the ironing board, and with that one end being pointed, I was able to put it in easily. And the instructions say to use an awl, but I use this pin to go ahead and push the fabric through and make sure everything was lined up nicely. And then I just began to iron it and start creating my binding. That went really well. That little tape thing, if the iron is too close to it, does get hot. So be careful about that. But it was really easy just to slide it right on through the bias tape maker. And then all I did was use that board that I already have and just wrapped it up. So super easy to do. So yeah, that's what I did. That's what I did. And because that was one strip, I know there is something, I want to say I've seen something on YouTube that you can fold the fabric a certain way and cut the strips, and then you have longer strips and whatnot. So, but because the fabric that I used to make that, which is all wrapped around my little cardboard, as you can tell, I think I did show that. And then here's the other one, the Ankara one. I only have so much of this one left. But I just love it. This one, that was, as you can tell, that was maybe a ½ yard of fabric. I want to say maybe a little over for this one. And this gave me about 4¼ yard of bias tape. And so I was like, brilliant. I love it. I love it. I love it. When I did have like some odd cuts of the Ankara left over, and maybe a ½ yard, like I had some weird cuts, and then like a ½ yard left of the Ankara. And so I went ahead and just did the same thing. The width I cut was I used was 1.5 yards. I'm sorry, 1.5 inches width. And then I, you know, cut them up. And then by the time I sewed them all together and did the bias tape maker, it was 7.5 yards. I was shocked. It was a lot, but I used a majority of that on the for that top, because I did extend the tie in the back instead of doing the button. And yeah, it worked out. And I still have, I don't know how much is left on here, but I still have a good amount left on here. So yes, I absolutely love. And so my first version is made in the fabric it's intended for. This is a rayon challis. I do know I picked this one up from Melanated Fabrics about 2 years ago, so I know they don't have any more of this, but they do have beautiful rayon challis. You can definitely check them out. I will still leave a link to the shop down below. But again, I use the binding. This one I put the button in the back, so that that's as the pattern intended. But the binding around the neckline, the binding for the sleeves, and then the binding for the hem. You guys, what took me so long? I love the look. I love the look. I love the look. And so, yes, absolutely beautiful. Love, love, love that look. And then the final version, which was the kind of highlight of the Love Notions video, if you checked it out, is me using knit fabric to turn the harmony into a dress. And so, and it's also lined. I'll come up closer so you can see. This one is made out of knit and lined in tricot. So again, head over to Love Notions channel to hear me talk about how you get this nice clean finish, and the adjustment I made to the dart for this knit finish. But to the binding, I can do binding with certain knits. Now this knit came from Joann Fabrics, and so this is a, what was this, a some poly brushed knit, but it's not heavy. That's the thing, it's not a brushed knit that's heavy, but it's staticky, so that's why it was lined. But I used the binding. Again, I was able to create binding with this one, and I did put the binding over it instead of turning it under as the pattern calls for. I just covered the seam for this one. And as you can tell, I did the little tie detail, extended it again to make the little tie detail in the back. Now this one I didn't do the bottom. I just serged the bottom and turned it under for this one, but I absolutely love it, and I could not believe that was just a try on my part if I can do binding in a knit. I know it's going to depend on the knit. This particular knit happens to iron very well. It holds its crease, so I can't see you being able to use an ITY. I'm sure any more stable knit, have good recovery type knit. I'm guessing you'll be able to do this with a bamboo knit, a modal knit. Definitely this type of knit, like I said, was it's a poly cotton blend knit. And but ITYs, you know, those heavy polyester knits, I'm thinking won't hold a crease well. That's my guess. If you were able to accomplish with a ITY knit or some other kind of heavy polyester knit, definitely leave that down in the comments. But that's just my guess based on how this, because this is a poly, but I forget, it's the percentage of it, I forget, but it's not a heavy, I can't remember the percentage, but this particular one held a really good crease. And I should have popped up a video of how that looked, but when I ran it through the tape maker, I was like, okay, is this gonna work? And it worked. I absolutely love how all of these have come out. I absolutely love the look of using self-bias tape. And there will be more. There will be more. There will be more being made. There are some, now I'm thinking more about maybe some of those excess, maybe half yards type lengths that I had, or maybe a little under, anything under a yard, that I can probably just turn it to bias binding, right? And saying that I know my preference for the single fold that I like to use, and I have prints, I have solids. I'm just looking at a pile that I have right here that's probably good fodder for some bias tape making. But yes, I am all good. I am good. So let me know, have you tackled this technique? Do you like it? Do you like the finished look of it? I'm sure many of you do, that has been doing it for years. Like I said, not you new to doing bias binding and all of that, but to making my own, creating my own from fabric, totally new to me, totally something I've always wanted to do. Now that I have done it, I'm all good. I can imagine the larger size. I was thinking for myself personally, the larger size, which is 25, will be good for binding quilts, or binding a coat. Say you're making a jacket or something, because it is so much bigger. Let me see if I can hold this up for you so you can see. See that 18, and then see how big the 25 is. I'll leave a link to this from my Amazon store if you're interested. But that would be good to create binding for, you know, quilt edges, for jackets, you know, something a little bit more beefy. I think that would be good for. The smaller ones, I can't see me using the smaller ones. Again, my preference, I'll probably for the most part just use size 18 and then 25 for quilt projects, binding around coats if I want to do something like that, which I do. Stay tuned. But yeah, that's what I'm thinking. But I'll leave a link to this down in the description box. So yeah, let me know what you think of the different looks. I should have popped up pictures and everything, but if you want to hear all of the details on the Harmony blouse, head over to Love Notions channel. If you have not grabbed the pattern yet, a link down below to the pattern, which is an affiliate link, and then use my code SewNaturalDane3 to get an additional 10% off. All right, everybody, thank you so much for tuning in today, and don't forget to tune in on Wednesday. It's gonna be a good one. We're gonna have a good old sewing chat, y'all. A good old sewing chat about elevating my sewing, and maybe there's some things in there that you might be able to resonate with. All right, everybody, thanks for tuning in today. You all have a blessed start to your week.